Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vinindi Jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sakho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vindigi Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gita Govardhani Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhami Ki Jai. Navadvip Dhami Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakti Vindi Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shishi, Guru, and Gauranga. So we're going to be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Third canto, chapter 15, texts 41 and 42. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the first verse has no purport, so I'll just read that myself, and then we could chant the second verse, number 42, together. Okay? Vidyushipan Makara Kandala Mandararha Gandastalon Nasamukam Manimad Kiriktam Dordandamanda Vivare Harata Paradya Harena Kandarakatena Chakapastubena. His countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator-shaped pennants, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent, and his head was covered with a gem-studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck was adorned with a gem known by the name Kaustubha. Okay, so this verse we could chant together. Atopasvishtam iti chosmitam indriraya. Swaham diya vachachitam bahu stausti tavyam. Mayam bhavasya bhavatam cha bhajantam angam. Nimur niriksha na vitripta disho muda kari. Somebody could chant. Machijis? Okay, no one? Okay, word for word. Atra, here in the matter of the beauty. Upasratam, curb down. Iti, thus. Cha, and. Utsmitam, the pride of her beauty. Indiradya, of the goddess of fortune. Swanam, of his own devotees. Diya, by intelligence. Vichachitam, meditated on. Bahu saustava adyam, very beautifully decorated. Mayam, of me. Bhavasya, of Lord Shiva. Bhavatam, of all of you. Cha, and. Bhajantam, worshipped. Angam, the figure. Netuhu, bow down. Nirikshya, after seen. Na, not. Vitripta, satiated. Drishaha, eyes. Muda, joyously. Kavi, by their heads. Translation. The exquisite beauty of Narayana, being many times magnified by the intelligence of his devotees, was so attractive that it defeated the pride of the goddess of fortune in being the most beautiful. My dear demigods, the Lord who thus manifests in himself is worshipable by me, by Lord Shiva, and by all of you. The sages regarded him with unsated eyes and joyously bowed their heads at his lotus feet. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The beauty of the Lord was so enchanting that it could not be sufficiently described. The goddess of fortune is supposed to be the most beautiful sight within the spiritual and material creations of the Lord. She has a sense of being the most beautiful, yet her beauty was defeated when the Lord appeared. In other words, the beauty of the goddess of fortune is secondary in the presence of the Lord. In the words of Vaishnava poets, it is said that the Lord's beauty is so enchanting that it defeats hundreds of thousands of cupids. He is therefore called Madana Mohana. It is also described that the Lord's Son sometimes becomes mad after the beauty of Radharani. Poets describe that under those circumstances, although Lord Krishna is Madana Mohana, he becomes Madana Daha, or enchanted by the beauty of Radharani. Actually, the Lord's beauty is super excellent, surpassing even the beauty of Lakshmi in Vaikuntha. The devotees of the Lord in the Vaikuntha planets want to see the Lord as the most beautiful, but the devotees in Gokula or Krishna Loka want to see Radharani as more beautiful than Krishna. The adjustment is that the Lord, being Bhaktavatsal, or one who wants to please his devotees, assumes such features so that devotees like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other demigods may be pleased. Here also, for the devotee sages, the Kumaras, the Lord appeared in his most beautiful feature, and they continued to see him without satiation and wanted to continue seeing him more and more. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Praschatya Iteshatarne. So, as is stated here, that Krishna is the most beautiful. This is one of his 6 opulences. Krishna is he has the opulence of beauty, wealth, strength, knowledge, fame, and renunciation. So he has all these qualities in an unlimited degree. No one is greater than him in this regard, and no one is equal to him in this regard. So Krishna, being unlimited in all these things, he is attracted to everyone. Actually, this is the name of Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. And one becomes all attractive by these qualities. If one is very beautiful, they become very attractive. If one is very wealthy, they become very attractive. If one is very strong, they become attractive. If they're wise, they become attractive. And if they're renounced, they also become attractive. So in this way, he is known as all attractive. And Srila Prabhupada also mentions that the living entities, they could also have these qualities partially up to 78%. But they cannot surpass, of course, the Supreme Personality of Godhead or be equal to him. So these qualities are there in Krishna, but hardly anybody knows this. As Krishna states in the 7th chapter, he mentions a number of verses in this regard. He mentions that I know everything that's happened in the past, I know everything that's happening in presently, and I know what's going to happen in the future. And I also know all living beings, but me, no one knows. And he also states in the 7th chapter, Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatiti siddhaye yatatamapi siddhanam kaschim mam veti tattvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who achieve perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. And he also states that after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. Such a great soul is very rare. So in this way, this is hardly anybody knows Krishna, although he's the most beautiful in the whole creation, as is stated here. So Krishna's beauty is compared to material things, but actually it's stated in many places in Scripture that Krishna he's compared to the moon or the lotus flower, but actually this is to give some indication of his beauty. Some indication of his beauty, because actually one cannot actually compare Krishna to anything in this material world. So it is stated that he is like, he's compared to the moon, or he's compared to the lotus flower, but actually he defeats all these things. He defeats all these things in this world. So Krishna's feet are compared to lotus flowers, therefore we refer to him as Krishna's lotus feet. And this comparison is given of the lotus flower because in the material world it is stated that the lotus flower is the last word in beauty. So it is also described in Srimad Bhagavatam that the toenails on the feet of the Lord are compared to rubies, red rubies, and they're like moons that dissipate the darkness within one's heart. This is a description of the lotus feet of the Lord. And it also is mentioned here about the Kaustubha gem, and it's described also in Srimad Bhagavatam that there's an engraved a calf on there that's engraved on the Kaustubha gem. And that Krishna is described that he has beautiful black hair. Sita Krishna Kesha. So the description is there, both he and also Balaram, they have beautiful black hair. Even in the advanced age, when he was in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he still had beautiful black hair. He didn't have any gray hair, but he's always the most beautiful. So, and actually, in order to see this beautiful form of Krishna, one has to smear one's eyes with the ointment of love, and then one can actually see the beautiful form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then, and to actually appreciate this beauty, what is required is penance. One has to perform penance in order to appreciate the beauty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is one of the requirements. Therefore, one has to engage in devotional service and follow the principles and hear and chant about Krishna. In this way, one will become qualified to appreciate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because even during even when Krishna was personally present on this planet 5,000 years ago, although so many people saw him, not all of them could appreciate him being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in order for this to happen, we needed to perform penance. And this, in order to remember this beautiful form of Krishna, we have to hear and chant about him. In this way, it becomes possible to remember the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so this beautiful form of Krishna, we have to focus only on that form. So by seeing only seeing the beautiful form of Krishna, we're able to control our eyes. So this is a recommendation. So one may ask, what does it mean to see the Supreme Lord? To see the Lord means to sincerely engage in his service. Because the service of the Lord and the Lord himself are non-different. Therefore, one should sincerely engage in the service of the Lord, and the Lord will give one direction on how to perform that service, how to perform it, and where to perform it. So, seeing the Lord is done by the devotees. Srila Prabhupada mentions that there are different classes of devotees, first class, second class, and third class. But even those who are third class devotees, although they have no knowledge they have no knowledge, simply if they see the beauty of the decorations of the deity, they become absorbed in thought of Krishna, and their consciousness is only aware of that. In this way, they become liberated. So when Krishna was on this planet on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, those who were fortunate enough to see him, the warriors on the other side, the different warriors, just by seeing the face of Krishna, the beauty of the face of Krishna, they were liberated. It is stated that they went back to Vaikuntha Loka because they saw the face of Krishna, and they appreciated it, and thus their love of Godhead was awakened simply by seeing and appreciating the face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in order to this seeing the Lord is very important in Krishna consciousness. This is an important aspect of surrendering to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada mentions this, that our surrender in this material world is imperfect, because we surrender to those persons or institutions which are imperfect, and our surrender is imperfect because we have ulterior motives. But if we're in Krishna consciousness, then it's voluntary, and we're surrendering to the perfect person. And by doing that, by surrendering, that surrendering becomes automatically done when one sees the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So simply by seeing the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, it's stated in many places about the beauty of material nature. Krishna states that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. So the nature is there, and his transcendental form is composed, in one place Prabhupada mentions, of eternity, knowledge, and beauty. And that is partially manifested within this material world. In this way, it appears, the material nature appears to be eternal and beautiful and full of knowledge. So this way, when we see that, we go out and we see the big mountains and nature, and it seems like these mountains have been here forever, and there's so much beauty there like that. So that's because it is partially a percentage of Krishna, and it is manifested there. It's partially, so it appears in that way to be eternal, full of knowledge and beauty. So this nature is described in the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada mentions that beautiful nature is like the smiling of the Supreme Lord, and the sweet sounds of the birds are specimens of the whispering voice of the Lord. But it's also stated that this beauty of nature is a reflection of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, one who is attracted to the Supreme Lord has no attraction to material nature, although he does not diminish it's a beauty like that. So in this world, this material nature, this beauty, it could actually be enhanced. Just like when Krishna was present, personally present on this planet, material nature was enhanced. The beauty of material nature. Things were very profuse and very beautiful. So similarly, if we engage in Krishna consciousness, then things will become more beautiful. Because Krishna is omnipresent, he's present everywhere, and by engaging the process of Krishna consciousness, hearing, chanting about Krishna, then material nature will become even more profuse, more beautiful. So these different qualities, they also appear in the different living entities, such as beauty, education, born in a good family, like that. So we should understand, without the mercy of the Supreme Lord, these things are not attainable. So we should acknowledge our gratefulness of attaining these things and use them in the service of the Lord. And by doing this, it is stated that one's family, one's nations, one's society will become one's abode will become almost like Vaikuntha, and there'll be no miseries in this material world. But if we become proud of our different qualities that we attain from Krishna, then we become blind and lose our good sense, and we will not be able to appreciate the great souls. This was said to Sati this is mentioned by Sati, whose father criticized Lord Shiva. So we know, of course, what happened to Daksha, because he was proud of his birth, therefore he could not appreciate Lord Shiva, and thus he blasphemed Lord Shiva. And as a result, he literally lost his head. So we shouldn't become proud of this. We should use everything in the service of the Lord. But the demons, they're very much attracted to the beauty of material nature. And they will pay any price for the skin beauty of this material world. And the fools, they become enamored by the beauty of matter, and they think that this matter can actually give them enjoyment, but actually there's no real enjoyment in this material world. So it's also stated that womanly beauty is illusion. So the question is, what is a woman? So there's two definitions of women. A woman, in the material sense, is somebody that gives birth to children. And in the philosophical sense, it means that which is enjoyed. So Prabhupada explains that for a woman, a man is a woman, and for men, woman is woman. So we have to understand we have to give up that mentality. We should see that everything belongs to Krishna, that I'm simply a servant of Krishna. So because in the living entity there's a spirit spark, therefore the body appears to be beautiful. But nobody is attracted to like a mannequin that looks very beautiful, because everybody knows, because there's no spirit soul there. Only a fool will be attracted to such a body. Or the body of a dead person. If there's a beautiful woman and they are dead, nobody's attracted to that living entity. The attraction is there because the spirit soul is there. Therefore, the body appears to be beautiful. So, Lord Chaitanya says in the Shikshastakam, O Lord of the universe, I do not desire materialistic followers, material wealth, a beautiful wife, or flowery or fruitive activities described in flowery language. All I want, birth after birth, is unmotivated devotional service unto you. So those who are in the highest platform of devotional service, they don't desire any of these things. They don't desire wealth, material wealth, a beautiful wife, or any of these things. But we should also understand the position that we're on. One shouldn't be artificial to think that I'm just like Lord Chaitanya and I could take sannyas. Oh, if you could take sannyas, that's great. But we shouldn't be artificial about it. So what it means is, I do not desire a beautiful wife. It means that one should not take this as the main consideration. In Kali Yuga, this is the main consideration. The main consideration is, oh, she's very beautiful, therefore I want to get married and engage in sense gratification, and therefore there's divorce. But Srila Prabhupada mentions that beauty is a secondary consideration, that the main consideration is like disposition. So as a devotee has a wife, he wants to get married to a devotee wife like that. In this way, he understands that. And by that situation, one could actually become Krishna conscious and make advancement in Krishna consciousness. So it's also described in this purport about satiation. So for a devotee of the Lord, there is no satiation in devotional service. Therefore, even though he sees the Lord constantly, he's never tired of seeing the Lord, because it is stated that newer beauties come from the Lord. And in all aspects of devotional service, just like Prabhupada gave the example of reading Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, a devotee can read them thousands and thousands of times, but he'll get newer and newer understanding from reading these books. And thus, a devotee, he's never tired. Prabhupada says, a devotee never retires. As he ages, he becomes more and more enthusiastic about devotional service. So in this way, we have to engage in Krishna consciousness and engage in that. In this way, we would be translate situated. In this way, our life will become perfect and we'll go back to home, back to Godhead. So I'll stop there. Are there any questions on these points? Yes, Brigupati?
Hare Krishna. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Made a lot of wonderful points. One point that was in the purport that you didn't touch upon, I'd like to ask a question about that, if that's okay. It said in one sentence that the devotees in Goloka or Krishna Loka, they want to see Radharani as more beautiful than Krishna. So why is that?
I haven't read anything about it. I just know that it's the beauty or happiness of the Krishna, the gopis, is constantly increasing. Because Krishna, when the gopis see Krishna, they become happy. And then when Krishna sees the happiness of the gopi, he becomes more happy. And this way it goes back and forth, and there's competition eternally going on. So that's all I could say about that.
In that question, I was reading the Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Gopi Paranadhana, who translated, and from, who was that? Gopi Paranadhana, actually he's the one who translated from Sanatana Goswami, and he was mentioning life in the Vaikunthas. So at one point, when they're having a gathering together, Krishna is there, his devotees some devotees are there, the gopis are there, Mother Yasoda is there, Nanda Maharaj is there, Balaram is there, and one boy called Gopakumara is describing, he's there too. So at one point, it is described that they say, oh, Krishna is the most beautiful. And Mother Yasoda came and said, no, Radharani is beautiful. And Mother Yasoda, out of love, out of affection. So it's a question of relationship too also. So in his song, he cannot accept that anybody is more beautiful. And then there's a comment also, common comment that it said that for the mother, his child is the most beautiful, even if it's not that. But in this particular case, Mother Yasoda is claiming that no, Krishna is the more beautiful. So, but the gopis friends, they want to hear that Radharani is more beautiful. So it's like a transcendental competition there. So questions of relationship, and they want to hear that that particular person is more beautiful. So that was.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we stop there. All glory was, just one more question? Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you said that by seeing Krishna, we surrender to him. But in order to see him, aren't we supposed to be already surrendered?
Yeah, I was thinking about that because, well, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, abandon all varieties of religions, just surrender unto me, I shall deliver you from all sinful actions, do not fear. So my understanding of that is that you have to initially surrender. And then as you surrender, then you'll be able to see Krishna, and then by that seeing Krishna, then you'll completely surrender. That's my understanding. Anybody else want to mention anything? Yes, Amala Bhakta Swami. Prabhu.
Thanks for a nice class, Prabhu. I just wanted to make one short comment, and that is the statement that you made is that when a person sees Krishna, he can go on seeing him forever. There is no end to it. And the reason for that is it's not just a seeing, but there are certain things that take place within one body and mind, his eyes, his nose, his head. There are blissful feelings which are coursing back and forth, and those blissful feelings, as one is becoming more advanced, become more and more intense, and the intensity keeps one wanting to go on watching, listening, seeing, and you can't be tired if you're experiencing something so enjoyable. So therefore, it's naturally forever.
Okay. All right, thank you. So we'll stop there. All glory to Shishi, Guru, and Gauranga.